we'll wait for a minute or two. Okay, and in those 1 or 2 minutes you can ask questions based on that particular problem, anything that is related to that particular problem. So any follow-up question or some variation of that particular problem, or if there is something you didn't understand in the solution or things like that, we'll do after each problem. Okay, so we won't be revisiting any problem, it will be linear, so 1 to 25. That's going to be the plan. Some are very easy, so we may not be spending a lot of time on those things. All right, so let's get started. Okay, so for those of you who are, maybe we just wait for 1 more minute. I see a lot of people who are just joining. For their benefit, let's just wait for 1 minute, otherwise I'll have to repeat myself all over again. So there is one thing I want clarification on. So I have opened my Zoom chat window and I have placed it on top of my browser. So is that also visible to everyone, or is only my Replit screen visible to you?
No, sir, only the Replit screen is visible.
Okay, fine. All right, thanks. Because I need to track, sometimes I need to track the chat, and this way it's easier. All right, so I think let's not waste more time. So to those who have joined quite recently, what we'll do is, the plan for the session will be, there are 25 problems. We'll start from problem 1 and go linearly up to problem number 25. At the end of every problem, I'll wait for like 1 or 2 minutes. In case you have any questions related to that particular problem, or any follow-up questions, or any issues in understanding the solution to that particular problem, you can voice your concerns. We will discuss that and then move on to the next problem, right? Okay, so just for your information, this was rendered in Markdown using that Typora software that we discussed 2 or 3 days back. Okay. All right. So first problem, what are the basic data types that we have seen in this week? Okay, so that's a very non-coding related question, I would say. Okay, so we have int, float, string, and boolean, right? So just a quick overview of what each of these things are. So
Sir, one more list. We also seen the list.
Yeah, so list is, yeah, that is true. But maybe I wouldn't call it basic data type, but it's all a matter of convention. We have seen list, but we haven't, I would say, discussed it in detail. Okay, so this would be int, and so I'm just overwriting the same variable. Okay, 1.0 would be float. So does anyone want me to zoom the Replit screen further, or is this enough?
No, sir, it's enough.
This is enough, sir.
Okay, thanks.
Better screen some more. Zoom some more.
Little more?
No, it's fine, sir.
It's fine, sir. It's good.
Okay. Okay, so this is string. Okay, and finally we have what is that? Yeah, boolean. So this would be boolean, and each of these, the proper name for these types is int is int. So I would say integer to be more specific. So for integer it's int, for float it is float, for string it is str, and for boolean it is bool. Okay, so yeah, these questions are available in the portal. We are discussing the activity questions that are there in the portal. Okay, so this is that activity session. If you are already familiar with it and you have no other questions, feel free to drop off. But if you have any problems with one of these problems, then please stay on. We'll come to that. Okay, so basic data type. There is one small thing I want you to know, which is that See, 1.0 and 1 point are the same thing. For example, we are very used to writing float values as 1.0 or let's say 3.0. Now you can also write this as 3 point. Okay, so Python will represent both these values as the same thing. So for example, if you get to the console and type 3.0 double equal to 3 point, okay, so you get the value true. Okay, I mean, rather I shouldn't be doing this. What I meant really is the type of 3 point is float. Okay, so this is a small, very trivial piece of information that I want you all to know, right? Because sometimes coders may just use this point after the integer part. All right, so that is one thing I wanted you all to know. So unless there are no other questions, I will move on to the next problem. Okay, participant annotation. Okay, I am not sure if I have the privileges for that. I just check disabled. Yeah, I have. At least I seem to have. Yeah, I have disabled. Okay. Right.
So can you speak louder?
You want me to speak louder?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it better now?
Yeah, better.
Okay, we'll move to problem 2. Okay, so how will the following objects be represented in Python? Email address, annual income, number of days in a month. Okay, so email address, I would say email would be a string. So, okay, that would be a string. What is the next one? Annual income would be float value, assuming you express it in lakhs, let's say 6 lakhs per annum. So there is again a small thing that I want to show you guys. Right, so this is actually an integer only. So this underscore is added just to make things clear. Okay, it improves the readability of the code. So for example, I can remove this, and this still says 6 lakhs, but it's not as readable as this. So for example, if you print income, what you will get is income. You'll get it without the underscore, right? And if you head to the console and type 6 underscore 00 underscore 000, it is equal to this, right? So both are the same. So they are essentially the same. And if you look at the type of this variable income, that is also the same. It's still integer. Okay, so when you are writing code, and especially let's say you are writing code for some financial application, right, and you want to represent income in lakhs, it's a good practice to have these underscores. Okay, so that is one extra pointer here. Number of days in a month.
So
Right.
what if it is alphanumeric, like 6 lakhs?
Sorry, 6 lakhs.
Yeah, it is like 6 is mentioned in numerical and lakhs is in string type.
Oh, you mean sing? Oh, yeah. That, yeah. It all depends on the kind of how you are processing the data. But see, there's no hard and fast rule, right? So I wanted to say float, so that's why I'm adding this 0.0. Typically, right, if you are looking at some kind of post processing on top of income, let's say, I mean, this is something that will come in week 2. So you have income and you have expenditure. Okay, so expenditure is, let's say, 3 lakhs. Okay, and typically what you will want to do is you would want to calculate, say, something like savings, right? So that is something you would want to do.
Sir, why are we giving those underscores in the income and expenditure?
Yeah, so as I just pointed out, see, this underscore helps in readability. Okay, so I'll just remove the underscores and it'll tell me. So what can you infer from this? It's 6 lakhs, but then it takes little more time to parse this. Yeah. So as Shashank is writing in chat, just like we put commas while writing, these kind of numbers, right? So commas don't work here. You can try it. Okay, so that throws an error.
Can't we use comma
Yeah,
instead of underscore?
Yeah, I just showed, right? So if you use comma, you get this error, right? So you can only use what the language supports. So language supports underscores, right? So see, underscore, these are all, see, the question is very bland, okay? There's nothing there in that question. So I am just giving you these details to make it slightly more interesting. This is
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
So is the comma reserved for something else? I mean, why doesn't it work here?
Yeah, so the comma is reserved for a few other things. That is something you will learn in week 5. Even in week 2, the first few lectures, you will read about that. But the comma does what is called as sequence unpacking. Okay, so I am not supposed to be talking about these things, but for example, you have 2 values, let's say 1 comma 2, okay, and you want to assign 1 to x and 2 to y, then you can do something like this.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
So the comma is useful in that case.
Okay, sir.
Okay,
Thank
but
you.
forget about this. This will come in week 2. Okay, for some reason my replit is.
It can be for spaces also, no?
Yeah, for while you are printing them, you can use comma. So in the print statement.
So.
Yes, yeah.
So, but instead of using comma, if you are using comma, then it should represent it as a string, na?
What should represent? So comma.
Income type. If we are using 6 lakhs as 6 comma 00 comma 000, then when we are writing type, so it should get the answer as string, na?
No, right? I mean, it's not a valid syntax. So I understand what you are referring to. So I think you mean. So I think this will work. Let's just try to print this. Let's try to print x. Okay. I mean, here it works, but here also it is. These are kind of concepts that you will encounter slightly later. So I don't want to confuse that. Introduce that confusion now. So I would just say that comma doesn't work for this particular purpose. Okay, use underscore if you want to make your integers more readable, or your not integers, your variable values more readable.
So there were questions related to parentheses, like we had to solve those questions. Can you do one example related to that?
Yeah. So please remind me, we are going in sequence. We are at problem 2. I don't think this operator precedence is there in any of the activity questions. So what we'll do is right at the end, we will solve one such question.
So last couple of questions are about operator precedence.
Is it? We do have in the activity, is it?
Yeah, is it the
okay, fine.
23rd, 24th one?
Okay, we'll come to that then.
Yeah.
Right? So that is about problem 2. I think we can move on if you guys don't have any other questions.
So one question, sir. Is it possible to show the spaces? So you put underscore in the left hand side, so where you were writing the syntax, but on the right hand side where the output was shown, the console, is there any way to get a space there or underscore on the console?
That's a good question. So that requires what is called formatted printing. Okay, so that is something that we will explore. Yeah, so my microphone, see, so for some reason it keeps going down, this microphone volume. So that is something we'll explore in week 3.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Is it better now? I don't know how to stabilize my microphone to some constant
Much
level.
better now,
Sir,
sir.
it's perfectly audible, sir.
Okay. So that is question problem 2. Yeah. So bit is a short form for binary digit. So a bit can assume one of these two values, right? So what unites the following terms is nothing but the bit. Okay, so all these are Boolean values or can be represented as bits. Okay, so Boolean obviously 0 or 1. State of a switch can be either on or off, assuming it's a very simple switch. Okay. Outcome of a coin toss, again, it can be heads or tails, which can be represented as 0 or 1. Outcome of a tennis match, yes, the same thing, and nodding your head is again only those two possibilities. So this is more of a
Outcome of a tennis match could be a draw as well, right?
I don't think there have been any draws in the history of tennis game. I mean, someone will always win. I mean, they stretch it into some kind of marathon matches, but I
Yeah,
think
true. Yeah.
But we have assumed 0 and 1, so we cannot take draw.
yeah, but see, I avoided cricket because cricket matches could end in ties. So yeah, but yeah, the point taken. So all right. So problem 3, I don't think there'll be any problems with that. Okay, find the last digit of 7 power 35. Okay, so let's go ahead. So this is 7 power 35. Now one very naive way to do this would be you can just print it. Okay, and see that the last digit is 3 and say the answer is 3. Okay. Slightly better way to do it would be to say that the last digit can I please request others to mute, please. So last digit would be the remainder when the number is divided by 10. Okay, so when you have a number and you want the last digit, if you divide the number by 10 and take its remainder, that will give you the last digit. So that is a better solution. There is also a third solution. I'm sorry, I'm muting all. Okay, you can unmute yourself when you want to ask a question, right? Yeah, so the third way is to convert this to a string. Okay, maybe I'll just have this solution also here. So this is method 1. Method 2 would be the same thing. I'm just rewriting the code here, but instead of doing all this division and modulus, what we can do is we can convert this number into a string. Okay, and the last digit would then become the last element of the string, and then I can go ahead and print last digit. Okay, there are 2 3s because we are printing both here. Yeah, so thanks. Yeah, so there is the issue with my microphone. It keeps, for whatever reason, it keeps going down. Yeah, so method 1 and method 2. See, I would personally prefer method 1 because that is always better. So you folks are not able to unmute yourself, is it?
Good evening, sir.
No, sir, we can unmute ourselves.
Okay.
We can unmute, sir.
Yeah, okay. Arnab,
Good evening,
yes, you had
sir.
a question. Yeah.
Sir, I have one question, sir. Why there is 2 3s on the console? Can you repeat that part?
Yeah. So see, for method 1, I'm printing this last digit, right?
Yes, sir.
So, and in method 2 also, I'm printing the last digit. So ideally what I should have done is I should have, if you comment this out, right, you will get only 1 3, which is from method 2.
Okay, okay.
right?
Okay.
So, okay, so and say probably method 0, that 0 would be not doing any of this and just printing the number and heading to the console and seeing that the last digit is 3. Okay, that would be method 0. Yeah, I have a question. Why have we divided by 10? Okay, so see method 1. Let's take a simple number on the console and see what happens if you divide by 10. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4. So you get 123.4, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, the quotient when you divide it by 10 is 123 and the remainder is 4, right? So the remainder when you divide a number by 10, it always gives you the last digit of that particular number, assuming you are talking about integers. Okay, so that is the rationale behind method 1. Okay, so any questions anyone has regarding any of these methods? Method 0 is very naive, but other two methods?
So can you please explain method number 2 again?
Yeah, so method number 2, so I am assuming methods 0 and 1 are clear, so I'll just erase them. See, what we are doing is, we are converting this number into a string. Okay, so let's go to the console and type this. So string of 1, 2, 3 will give you the same number but enclosed in quotes, which means it is then the integer 123 is converted to a string.
String, yes sir.
Okay, so likewise what we are doing here is we are converting 7 power 35 to a string, or whatever the value, we are enclosing it in quotes and making it a string. That is what is happening in line 4. Okay, then last digit of the string, there are actually two ways to access it. So I mean, I can write even more elaborate code. So number of digits. So what is the question? Find the last digit. Okay, so number of digits is nothing but length of the string. Okay, so if you print num digits, you will get 30. Let's
30.
also print the string in the process. So this will print all three, so for that matter. Okay, so this is 7 power 35 and this is 7 power 35, the string 7 power 35, but when you print it, the quotes disappear. Okay, so maybe let's also print the type of these two so that it kind of, so it's an int, this is a string, and there are 30 digits. So now once we have printed all these things, we want to know the last digit. So first method to know the last digit is last digit equal to the string object corresponding to 7 power 35, and there are these many digits in that number, and you want the last digit, right? So since we start indexing from 0, the final digit will have
29.
1 less than num digits, right? It will have 29. Yes. So we are printing that. Okay, so that is the, if you want it to be more elaborate, we do it this way. Okay, so the last digit is 3. Now the other way to do it is, let's comment this out, is to just say num underscore str of -1, right? So -1, as you know, is negative indexing. You start from the reverse. So -1 is the last, is the first character in the string from the reverse, right? Or it's the last character. Okay, any doubts here? This negative indexing may be new. So, I mean, you have seen it, but it might be.
No, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So that is about this. So maybe a variant of this question, I will just ask you here. If you want to find the first digit, so which of these three methods will you use? So we saw method 1, which was that naive method. Method 2 used this arithmetic, Method 3 used string. Now, if you want to find the first digit of, okay, so string method is better. All right.
Yeah, string will be better. Yes.
Okay, so that is problem 4. Assuming there are no other questions, we are going to move to problem 5. Okay, so problem 5 is very simple. So
So why was that method better than other two?
the string method, is it?
Yes.
Yeah, so for, okay, yeah, like, so num equal to 7 power 35. So you want to find the first digit, right? So using arithmetic, it can be, it is not ruled out, but without using the concepts, with only using the concept that we have learned so far, right? It would be a bit tough, right? So let's take some simpler number, right? Num equal to 1, 2, 3. Now, how do you output 1? Okay, now here you can see that it is 123, but assume that you are going to be given some random input by the user. Now, every time you'll have to return the first digit of that number. Okay, so unless you convert it to a string, that's going to be tough. So in this case, what I'll do is I'll just accept it as a string and I'll not change anything. And I'll say the first digit of the number is, I'll just say num of 0, or which is the, so let's just run it and see for a few outputs. So 123, I get the first digit of the number is 1. Let's say I run it for some other. Okay, so you get the point, right? If you don't convert it to a string, or if you don't use strings, it can be very tough to find the.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, one question. Just when we enter the number, it itself assumes it's to be a string. I mean, we haven't converted it to a string.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
when you enter the number on the console, the system assumes it to be a string and not an integer.
Right. So yeah, so this is a point about input. Okay, yeah, this is an important point. See, what happens is input always returns a string. Okay, no matter what you type in the console, it will return a string. So I just demonstrate that. So let's say x equal to input of, and let's print the type of x. Okay, I'm going to run this for different inputs. First, let's enter integer. Okay, so it returns a string. I mean, like, it accepts it, it processes it as a string. Okay, so x is a string now. Let's now run it for some float input. That is also processed as a string. If you run it for a string, it will obviously take it as a string, right? So the point is the default return type of input of is string. Okay, so by default, x stores a string. No matter what kind of input you give here, x will process it as a string. Okay, so it is.
So, but when we put a float value and convert it to integer, then it shows error. Why?
Yeah, so that will come in one of the questions. I'll discuss that when we get to that, right? So the reason is, maybe quickly I'll give you the reason here. So what happens is, this is the way the int function works, right? So when you're trying to type, you're trying to convert whatever is inside the string into an integer, and that it can do only if the contents within the quotes is itself an integer. So this will work if you have this an integer within the quotes, but it's not going to work if you have some float value inside it. I mean, this will work, right? For example, this works, but int of this is not going to work. Okay, I mean, that's the way, that's the behavior, that's the way the int built-in function, as we call them, is defined. Okay, so it's more a kind of a behavioral issue with the integer and nothing more than.
So, sir, how do we convert a string into integer?
How do we convert a string into an integer? Yes, we have been doing all along. This is the way. This will again. So as I said, this will work only if your input is itself an integer. Okay, so if you enter an integer, it's going to work. But if you're going to enter a float value, it's obviously going to throw the error.
And sir, now whenever we are defining elements in a list, all the elements are considered as string, na?
Let's not go into list, right? I mean, list will come to that very soon, but just to avoid confusion at this stage, we'll not touch upon list.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
So, sir, in the previous one, if we use the input command, we get the output as string. But if we store the value in two variables and add those two variables, we get a value or an error, sir.
Okay, so can you come again? If you
suppose x equal to input and y equal to input, and we add x and y.
Okay. Okay.
So in this case, will we get an error? No, not an error. Suppose if we input 2 and 3, will we get 5 or will we get 2 and 3? Because input stores it as a string.
Yeah, so you'll get 23 if you do this.
20.
It will just concatenate 2 and 3. So for example, it will just do this, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This was there in the lectures. Understood.
Right. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
All right. So see, the error is happening. It's because, so if you notice what the error message is saying, invalid literal for int with base 10. So this should be an integer, right? So I would just say we can at this level, it's enough if we understand this important point that if you are trying to convert a string into an integer, that string better have an integer inside it. I mean, integer enclosed inside the quotes, right? Okay. Oh, this problem we didn't solve at all. Okay. So this is as simple as this. Okay, so you are just finding the remainder, but it's a nice property. So if you look at what the quotient is, let's just find the quotient also. Quotient is what?
So you are not audible, sir.
Okay. Still am I not audible?
Yes, sir, audible now.
Okay. Yeah, so quotient is 8, remainder is 9. I think that's a very simple question, so let's not spend more time there. Okay, so this is I don't know if copying this will work, but let's just try. Okay, it works. All right, so I think you would have all run this and you get this alternating pattern of 2 and 8. Okay, so what is happening here?
So a single minus will subtract and a double minus will add it.
Add.
Yeah.
And similarly, the pattern follows.
Right. Yeah, so that's exactly the point. So there is one conceptual point I would like to add. Okay, so Python has this two different uses for the minus sign, right? or the dash hyphen, whatever you wish to call it. The first is called the first is subtraction, the subtraction operator. This is familiar. Okay, the other is the negative sign. It's also known as the unary minus. Okay, so the reason we have this term unary is because it is not binary. Yeah, so just to give me a second, I'll just try this audio thing. You are suggesting that I automatically adjust microphone volume in audio settings. Okay, just try that for a minute and I'll get back. Yeah, so for whatever reason, I'm not able to find that setting. It doesn't seem to be. I'll try to sort this by the next session. Okay. All right. So now is it?
It's good, sir.
Yeah, it's good, right? I mean, yeah. See, of course, it's like it keeps decreasing suddenly. Okay, right. So this is called. Okay, it's in the advanced settings page. I'm getting that. Advanced setting page. Okay. So what I'll do is maybe after 8 o'clock, we'll take a short 5 minutes break, and I'll try to see what can be done then. Okay. Yeah. So this is called unary minus because this is not a binary operator. So that is why it's called this way. And these are the two different uses for the minus sign. Okay. So what is happening here is here there is no confusion. This minus corresponds to the subtraction operator. But here, if you notice, this minus corresponds to the minus sign, whereas this corresponds to the subtraction operator. Okay, so likewise, here this one is subtraction, whereas the other two correspond to minus signs. Okay, so that is one kind of a small observation that you might want to note. Okay, moving to problem 7. Okay.
Excuse me, sir. If I put those into quotes, wouldn't that be taken as a string and then it would print, right?
You mean this problem?
No, the previous one. If I suppose put all those values between quotes,
Yeah. If you
that would work as a string, right?
Yeah, it will just end up printing 5 minus 3 and
Yeah.
not the actual value. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so how do we parenthesize this expression so that the result becomes 0? Okay, so anyone has any answers for this?
Yes, sir.
So at the start and before the
At the start and before the division sign.
At the start, you mean here?
Yes, sir, and before the division sign.
Before the division sign. Okay, nice.
We'll get 0.
It's in the beginning and after second two written.
Okay, so this is one
One
answer.
more over the exponential function.
Okay, 1 second. I'll just make this answer 1. So other answer I'm getting from the chat is this, right? Is this the one?
So this will give -1.
Before bracket after minus 2 by 2 should be in one bracket.
Sorry, can you type it in the chat? Is there anything? Okay, there is one. Maybe this and try this out.
2 raised to the power 2 should be in the bracket, sir. Yes, sir. This one, last one.
Okay, is this a different answer?
Yes, maybe 3.
So,
minus.
Okay, let me try this.
1.
Okay, no, this gives me 1.
Yes, sir.
Are there only 2 or 2 star 2 minus 2 minus 2 by 2? Okay, see, that gives me 1. Yeah. See. So I think there are only 2, unless
2
you
combinations.
have any other. All right. So yeah. So some of you are asking me what is star. So I hope you don't have a problem with star, right? Does anyone have a problem with the star operator? It just powers, it's just exponentiation. So 2 star 3 will be 8 and so on. Okay, so I think that's also a simple problem. So let's move on to slightly more challenging stuff. Okay, so if you run this, you get true. All right. So this is called chaining. Okay, so this whole thing is called chaining of comparison operators. Okay.
Sir?
Yes.
Sir, what should be the precedence order in the previous question, sir?
Oh, in the previous question. Oh.
Should it be double star or first, or should we take division first or subtraction?
Double star.
I think
Yeah.
we should take double star first, right?
Yeah. So maybe
and
we'll
after that division, and after that subtraction.
Yeah. So
Right.
yeah, this will be.
Or sir, will follow the BODMAS rule.
Yeah. So it will be this. Yeah. So this is how it will be.
Yes. Sir, even just like that, it will give an answer 0. 0 by 2. 0 by 2 is 0. Without any brackets, just the problem taken as it is will give the answer as 0 by 2 is 0.
Oh, is it? I didn't realize that.
2 power 2 is 4. 4 minus 2 is 2. Minus 2 is 0. 0 by 2.
No, right? We just spoke
No,
about
sir.
the precedence.
Okay.
Right? So according to precedence, this division will bind these two. So
yeah, correct. First
right,
exponential, then division, then
yeah.
Last is subtraction. Okay.
All right.
If
So
we do that in that way, then answer should be 4 minus 2 minus 1.
Yes, that will be 1. Yeah.
Delivery 1. Yes.
All right. Okay. So now we move to this fellow here. So what we have seen is that this is true. Okay. So yeah, as I was saying, this is called chaining of comparison operators. So if you notice, comparison or relational operators both mean the same. Comparison slash relational. Okay. So what do we mean by chaining? This, if you notice, they are all chained together. So you have one operand, one comparison operator, then another operand, then some other comparison operator. It's like a chain of these things. Okay. So how does this work? It's not simply precedence. So the way it works is, let's take something simpler. Let's not have all these things. Let's just have 0 less than 1 less than 2. So the Python internally reads this as, okay, I will remove the print because it kind of unnecessary brackets get added. So I'll call this expression 1. So expression 2 is 0 less than 1 and 1 less than 2. Okay, so whenever you have this kind of a chained expression with comparison operators, it evaluates this way. Okay, so that is why this 0 less than 1 less than 2 returns true. That's because 0 is less than 1 is also true. 1 less than 2 is also true. Right, so I would request you not to worry too much about this. When in doubt, you can always use something like this. It's much better than, I won't say much better, but you don't need to go to this at all.
So you won't compare 0 with 2?
Yeah, you won't compare 0 with 2. So that is the way it works here.
So we'll start grouping from the left, like 1, 2, then 2, 3, like that. We'll group and find the answer if we don't have a like replit during exam. Is it like that we'll do? We'll start grouping from left to right.
Yeah, see, the point is this. Mostly these things won't come in exam. I mean, see, in week 1 assignment, some questions are there. But these are all not these are all not important things, right? So you would have realized that the prof also would have mentioned this, right? This operator precedence, and in actual programming life, right? When you are coding some application, you won't break your head over these these are all trivial things. But it's good to know how the language behaves.
Okay.
These are like the peripheral details of the language, not the core of the language. Is in conditional statements, loops, data structures, which we'll learn in upcoming weeks. This is more like the surface feature, which it is good to know from an academic point of view, but it is not that relevant from a programming coding point of view.
Sorry to interrupt.
Okay, sir.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just to be strong with the basics, in this, let's say, I mean, one condition fails. So will it immediately step out, or will it go through the entire statement and then?
Yeah. So yeah, that is it will step out if one of them fails. So for example, let's take 0 less than 1 and 1 less than minus 1. Okay. So what will happen is this will obviously print false, right? So why does it print false? This is actually evaluated as E2 is 0 less than 1 and 1 less than minus 1. Okay. So yeah, but I think this is not what you asked. So maybe let me change this to say, let's just try this. Okay. Probably chaining is not the right way to express this. And this is something I posted in the forum also. See, if you have a statement like this. Okay, I don't know if you have looked at the questions and
Yeah,
answers.
the activity question had one such, and the
Yeah.
result, I think it stepped out immediately after one validation was false. So I wanted to know if the same holds good for.
Yeah. So see, this is something called short circuit evaluation. So if you actually run this, can you guess what the output will be?
Should be true.
It should throw an error.
True.
Okay.
True.
Yeah. So some say error, some say true, but the actual output is true. Okay. So what is happening is Python looks at both these expressions. So you have something on the left of the OR operator and something on the right of the OR operator. So the way OR works is, if one of these two is true, the result is going to be true, right? So it will first evaluate the expression on the left, and if it is true, the second part is totally redundant. It becomes redundant because no matter what this value is, whether it's true or false, the outcome is going to be true. So it will totally skip evaluating this. Okay, so this is.
Sir, what if it was 1 by 0 or true?
Chosen randomly.
Sir?
Sorry?
So the expression 1 by 0, I think it is not defined, sir.
It will be infinity.
Or not defined.
Yeah, or not
If
defined.
mathematically precise.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I say I didn't complete it. So if you just print 1 by 0, right? So obviously you will end up with a zero division error. It's called zero division error. Okay.
So what if the expression that is true is in the right side of the equation, 1 by 0 or true? So in that case,
So if you have something like this, it'll still give zero division
True.
error because
so
first it evaluates
first term takes the precedence.
Okay.
It's not like this order.
So what if we take and in between?
Here it will always throw an error. So no matter how you phrase it, if you do it true and 1 by 0 or 1 by 0 and true, either way it will be error. So
Pre-selected players are
if you run this, that is also an error.
So can we run false and 1 by 0?
Yeah, that's a good point. So if you run false and 1 by 0, then you are safe. And safe in the sense you won't get any errors
selected
because
players are from Australia.
you don't need to evaluate 1 by 0 at all.
Sir, why it is so, sir?
Yeah, so this is called short circuit evaluation. It's the fancy term for it. Python goes from left to right and it kind of optimizes in certain way, right? So as I already told you, if the operand on the left, if that is enough to decide the outcome of the entire operation, then bother evaluating what is on the right.
Okay, sir.
So I think Gururaj has posted a link on to the discourse chat. You can also take a look at it.
I have one more question.
Yeah.
Suppose there is a lots of true false with or and on and or not. Then how the Python interpret all these things? I'm sending it in the text chat box.
Okay. Okay, this is a very tough thing. I mean, I also don't know exactly how to. So you are saying it is true or false, and true or not false, and false. Okay, everything is to add to the misery. Everything is in blue. Okay, so not and or is the order of precedence. Let's try. I mean, this is actually a futile exercise if you ask me. Because you will never quote something like this, but we are also responsible for you to ask this question because we have given such questions in the assignment, right? Ideally we shouldn't have. So what it will do is we can just try it out. Not is having the highest precedence, so I would say it will be tempted to
It start getting at second false.
Yeah, so as who's that who pointed this out? So what will happen is
Yeah. So last is false, probably answer will be false.
yeah, so this is true, so I'm going to go ahead and check for this, and since this is false, I essentially don't need to evaluate the whole thing. So let's try and see if it gives us false.
Sir, will not take the precedence here.
Okay, but it's saying true because I think it is parenthesizing this as follows. Okay, so first is true and the rest are skipped, as Srinivasan points out. Okay, so see, I am also a bit shaky here, and I would say it is okay to be shaky here. I'm not just saving my face, but this is
Sir,
something.
I have a question. So will not take the precedence here because there is a not in the expression, like how exponent takes the precedence in arithmetic operators. I think not should take the precedence, right? So will it not validate not false first, and then the and in the first term, that is false and true, will that not be validated second, and then the third, the last expression? Will it not
So
go
see,
like
there are
that?
two things. One is precedence. The other is The other is order of evaluation. Okay, so the order of evaluation is from left to right.
And when does precedence come into picture?
So precedence typically comes into picture when you have different types of operators, right? And when, say, for example, you have 1 plus 2 by 3. You want to know to which operator this 2 binds to. So
The same way, for example, this is arithmetic. I'm asking about the logical operator, which is and not is greater than and is greater than or. So not takes the precedence. So not whichever Boolean value not precedes will take the preference, right? Will it not be so? Because not works on a single value.
Yeah, not is unary. Yeah, you are right. So see, I would just put it this way, right? So there are again two things. One is precedence, one is order, right? And but there is also this order of evaluation. I would say in some sense gets a primacy in these cases, right? So you are not going to go ahead and evaluate the last expression in this. So for example, so if I have something like this, I'm going to look at the first operand here. Okay, so no matter what this is, I am going to bind this as follows, right? By binding, I mean I'll do something like this, right? So, and since false is going to come up first, right? That would invalidate this whole expression. That will make the entire thing false.
Let's say the first term is true and false. So in true and true, let's say. So this particular term is validated now. True and true is true. So we will move to the next term, or we'll go by precedence. Because if we are not going by precedence, then where do we apply precedence for such logical operators? I know for arithmetic we follow a certain way of going, but then I'm confused on where we apply precedence in and or and not.
Actually, I think precedence is only for binding, not evaluating. I think.
Yeah. So see, to be very honest, I would say it is best not to spend too much time here. Okay. So I see the reason I'm saying is, I'll tell you a practical reason for this. You will never see some expression like this. Okay. So I'm just throwing up some random expression here. This will never happen in your programming career. Okay. But I also understand the point from which you are coming. It is, as an academic, for academic interest, this is very important. You need to know how Python is going to evaluate this. But this is a very tricky business. And to be honest, I would say I am not 100% the right person to tell you the answer to this.
So in real time, we might, face this problem, right? Let's say if a user is new and from India, or the user is from abroad. So this kind of situations can occur in real time when I'm.
See, what will happen is that's where the bracket comes in, right? So
we use brackets. Okay.
So user new could take some Boolean value. User from India could take some other Boolean value, and you want to know if the user is new or user is from India, or maybe let's say user above 50, right? So if the user is from, if the user is new, you do certain, right? And or maybe or if the user is from India, let's say user is from India or the user is above 50, that becomes another condition. So I will never forsake my brackets here.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so my brackets is what makes my code readable, and I will never do something like this. So instead of taking some very complex expression just to satisfy that academic thing, right? So let's just take something simple like this. What scares me really is that true, false, not true. All that scares me a lot. So I will just take whatever I can manage and maybe try to explain. Okay, so let's try to print what is this doing. So this is giving true, right? So see here I can tell you what happens here. True, since and is greater than or in terms of precedence, this is what is going to happen. Okay, and since this entire thing evaluates to false, I'm going to go ahead and execute this. So if I just change this to and, what will happen? The result will be false. Okay, and even if I remove the brackets, the result will still be false. Okay, I think it is enough if we understand this at this level and not dig deeper.
Okay.
Right, for two reasons. One, practically we will not come across this. Second, my inability to explain. Okay, I hope that satisfies.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can I Karthik, can I come in?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Okay. Karthik, I will try to explain. Can we have that expression again?
Okay, that monstrous expression or simpler
Yeah,
one?
yeah, yeah. The same monstrous expression.
Okay. Okay. I'm just making up something. Yeah.
Okay. So the process to parenthesize this expression would be like how we know that the precedence of not is over and the precedence of and is over or, right? So not is the highest having highest precedence and or is having the lowest precedence. Another thing we know that not is having the associativity. What associativity means? The order of operator, means how the operator operates, whether it will operate on the right operand or on the left operand. So not will be having the highest precedence, so it will work on the right of the it will work on the operand which is on the right. So not false we can parenthesize. So Karthik, can we parenthesize not false?
Okay.
Okay. Then next we have to look for and. So not is done. Now we have to look for and. So we will go from left to right. So we can see that first occurrence of and is after false, right? So we will try to parenthesize false and true. So these two operands will be parenthesized. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Next we will again look for, is there any more and? So we have one more and there. So this and is working on two operands. One is both are in parenthesis, so we can parenthesize them again. So it will start after or, first or, and it will end after the last or, before the last or. Yes. So this will be the parenthesized form of this expression. And now we can see that there are three operands which are connected with or. So first is true, then intermediate expression we can see intermediate operands, and the last operand is again true. So you can see that there are two true expression, there are three operands which are connected by or. And as you know how the or works, so if the first operand is true, then it won't evaluate rest of the expression. So the output of this whole expression should be true.
Yeah. Thanks,
So,
Kumar. So see,
yeah, I hope this helps.
Oh, no, it's clear. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks, Kumar. Right.
yeah,
So
having a lot of
just a word of caution. You. I think this exercise would have told you how important brackets are. Okay. So please use brackets.
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, I had a doubt in question 7 of the graded assignment. Means in the question, I had a doubt.
Question 7, graded assignment. So see, I would say we'll get back to it. We are running late. I didn't expect after 1 hour we'll be only in problem number 9 because these are supposed to be simple problems. So why not we come to the end and then.
Karthik,
Okay,
Karthik sir, just a minute.
Yeah.
Are we there on? Are we discussing practice assignment as well?
Yeah, we will do it in Solve with us on Sunday. So.
Oh, okay, okay. Actually, while we are on order precedence, operator precedence, I had a doubt in question number 5 of practice assignment.
Yeah. So that will happen on Sunday.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So we will get back to activity some string of length n. How many characters that does n into some string have, where n is some positive integer. Okay, so n equal to int of input of. Sorry, I didn't want to accept input, but yeah. So some string could be any string. I am very fond of good strings. So how many? What is the question? How many characters, right? So we are essentially finding n into some string. That would be, okay, I have to enter a string, so I have to enter a number. So that would, okay, sorry, am I missing something? What is the question?
Sir, actually sum underscore string is the string. So
Oh, sorry, you have to accept a string. Okay, sum underscore string is the string.
no, actually sum underscore string is the actual string that it's taken.
Oh, no. So see, what I meant in the question was sum underscore string is some string of length n. So,
Okay.
right, so size of that string or whatever length of that string is sum underscore string, and you want to find out the size of that into sum underscore string. So this will just print the string. This is not going to give us the size. So if you say good, it will give you good 4 times, right? So if you want to find the length of the string, what you would do is you just add the length function. So that gives us 16, right? So the basic point is, if the string is of size n, then that string multiplied by n will be of size n square, right? That is all there is to this question. Okay, I'll move on because this is not a very tough question. So what will be the outcome of the following expression if x and y are two strings? All right, so x equal to, let's say, abc, y equal to 1 2 3 4. What we want is x plus y, the length of that, and we have, okay, I've just made it ulta. So length of x, length of y. So what is the outcome of this? Okay, so the outcome will be true. That is because x and y, x plus y will just concatenate or just join the two strings. So the length of that combined string is nothing but the sum of the lengths of the individual strings. All right. So anyone having doubts with this?
No, sir.
If not, we'll move on. We have some tougher questions coming up. So what does the following code do is syntactically correct? So does anyone have an answer for this? Is it syntactically correct? Okay, I get a lot of no.
Yes.
Okay, some yes. Okay, let's just run it and see. Okay, so I do get the correct output. All right, so yeah, it allows the user to enter anything. Whatever you throw at the system, it's just going to check that out. It's like, okay, it will be in bad taste, but it's like vomiting. But that's what this command does. All right, so
Type will be in right.
that is what this does. So if you see something like this, don't be alarmed. So it is just in mathematics, you might have seen this f of g of x, right? This is something very similar. It's called composition of functions, meaning, so input is the inner function and print is the outer function. You are just composing them or putting one inside the other, right? So this will get evaluated first. So whatever input you give, that is going to be accepted and that will be printed in turn. All right.
Yes, sir.
So that is what this means. And yeah, so we have the next question. Print of input of.
So in such cases, what is the data type of the print? So the printed value.
Sorry, can you come again?
when you type such things, let's say you're just giving without any type conversion. So what is the data type of such expressions? I see that there is something called none type that comes up in general mode. So I got something called none type.
None type, right? Okay, so the none type is really lack of type. So it's like if you don't know what type a particular object is, by default it becomes none. So
this can be assigned to any
yeah, you can assign none to a variable. We haven't explored this. We'll come across this in week 4 when we do functions.
Yes.
So for example, let me try this, right? This is again just for, don't get confused by this. So if you notice this will print one blank space and then it will print none. Okay, so for example, if I do this, it's going to print 1 and then none. Okay, the reason being the same thing that I told before, composition of functions. So print of 1 inside will be called first. So that will be printed onto the screen.
Am I audible to you?
Just 1 second, I'll just complete this particular question. So
I can't understand this question, sir.
Yeah, just a second, I'll just finish this. So print of 1 which is inside will be printed first to the console. And since this print of 1 returns none, that will be printed next. Okay, if you don't understand this, ignore it for now, but none will come up in week 4.
Sir, why printf 1 is returns none?
Yeah, so yeah, that's why I see this lead to confusion. That's why I didn't want to so what is happening here is print of 1 gets evaluated first, okay, and that is the first line of output. But see, print is called, actually we have been using the term command so far, but print is technically called a built-in function. Okay, meaning it will take some input and it will return some output. Okay, it's a function, and that's what a function is, right? So the return value, so if you remember your CT course, we had procedures, right? So procedures had return value, no? So the return value of print procedure is what? None. It doesn't.
Sir, but the print function is returning 1, which is an integer. So basically,
No.
it should return an integer, sir.
No, it's not returning in C. It's printing 1 to the console. So in CT terms,
Okay.
Printing
Yes,
is printing is a side effect of print function, of print procedure, if you want to call it that way, but it doesn't return anything. Okay, but forget about that. It's not really important.
So what happens if we don't pass 1 into the argument and leave it as it is, means print off simply?
Yes, so it'll not print anything. Like, I mean, it'll print the empty line, new line, and then we'll give none, right? So see, there are so for this problem, this particular line of code, as well as for precedence, right, there is one perspective. There are two perspectives which you can take. One is practical and say, okay, this is something I don't need. The other is theoretical, academic. I wouldn't discourage the theoretical side at all. In fact, that's also important. But sometimes this the practical side of thing takes the upper hand. Okay.
Sir.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. Actually, first print it is printing new line, but second print returns something and then that is printing, or without returning anything it is printing just now.
No. So yeah. So see, print. What is happening is, if you print none, it'll just print none. Okay. Okay. Why is it not? We'll just restart my REPL.
So in Python, print returns nothing, right?
Yeah, Python's print returns nothing. That's why it prints none on the second line. What is this? Yeah. So this prints none on the second line because the return value of print is none. Okay, so I wouldn't see. Let's not break our head over this too much now.
But if you take the take the print, I mean inner print, there is nothing is sending, but it is printing new line, right? So new line is going by default. But when the outer print is printing, that time it is also taking the new line along with
The
the null.
return type of inner print is none, is it?
Yeah, see, the return type of print is always none. So how do I explain this? See, print as a function has a return type of none. Okay. So when I'm I don't know if this will work. I mean, this might throw an error. Let's see if this works. Okay, this works. Okay, now if I print x, it'll give me none. Okay, that's because print as a function, it returns none. Okay, I mean, so see, this is going in a slightly.
No, sir, we got it. We got it.
Yeah, it's okay, right? Because if
Yeah,
I
we got
type,
it.
yeah, if I type some code like this, students should not get confused. That's why.
Understood.
Yeah.
Sir, can I ask a question?
So can I ask? Sir, can I ask a question, sir?
Yeah, two of you asked. I mean, I don't know who came first.
You may ask first.
Yeah, please.
Sir, is none similar to null in other languages?
Yeah, it's somewhat similar.
Okay.
Sir, my question is, whenever we print of any function, then it displays in the console the return type of that function, right?
Yeah. So if you
can you give some another example, sir, other than print?
Yeah.
So you can make it to us.
Okay. So if you know Python, do you know functions in Python by any chance? Are you new to Python or do you have some experience?
Sir, I have experience of C language, sir.
Okay. See, I'm going to type some code. Please forget beginners don't get intimidated. So what is happening is it is called a function in Python. Okay. This will accept a number and it will return the square of the number. So you have all seen CT. So this shouldn't be a problem to you guys. So what this will do is so if I do print square of 4, it will give me 60. Okay. Now let me do the following. Let me just say y equal to x square and I run this. It'll print none because the square function by default is not returning anything. Okay, and when you don't return anything, you print none by default. That is your default return type.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so this is on the lines of whatever I'm doing is extremely bad. If you are new to Python, don't get afraid. These will cover in week 4.
So can we say it is equivalent to void in C++?
Okay, so see, I can be honest. I did C++ way back in my school, so I am totally out of touch with this. So if there is anyone in the group who has familiarity with both Python and C++, they'll be able to answer you better.
Yes.
I am used to C++ and I see it similar to void, the return type void. So that's why I asked this question.
Right.
One thing, I mean, it's not the similar to void because nothing is returning over here. But in void, there you can use the return statement.
No, void does not have a return statement, right? Void, if you want
Yeah, you can use the return statement without any value.
You can use the return statement, but that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that does
use
not.
void If you
Yeah,
go
translated.
Yeah, sometimes it does make sense. You have to suddenly return from the.
only if you use int main, then return makes sense. Otherwise,
No. Please.
You can return 0. I understand where you're coming from, but in general, we don't do that because by
No,
convention, void is supposed to not return anything.
Please let me finish. From void
Okay.
function, you can use the return
Okay,
statement
folks. So
without any value. Okay.
I understand
And
your
sometimes, yeah,
yeah, I
sorry.
understand your enthusiasm for cross-language talk, but let's not
No,
Yeah,
not
okay, sir.
exactly
Sorry, sir.
same.
beginners here. Okay, so
Okay. Sure. Please
we
go
will
ahead.
stick to Python. Okay.
So can we get back to the question, sir?
Okay, so what is this doing? It's supposed to. So when does this print 1, 2, 3? So if you enter 1, 2, 3, it's going to print 123. All right, so this is as simple as that. Okay, what is the sequence of inputs? That is what it is. We'll move on unless you folks have any other question.
Okay, I have one question. Input only takes a new line to finish the one input statement.
Sorry, can you come again?
Here we are using one enter, two enter, three enter, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then it is printing 1, 2, 3. So is there any other character that we can stop it? That input can stop?
I don't think so. I think the only way you can signal to your system that you have entered some input is the carriage return or enter. So no matter what you type, for example, I understand what you're asking. Maybe if you type slash n or slash r, maybe it will accept these as inputs, but no.
No, that slash n will be treated as a character.
Sorry?
I'm not saying that.
Okay.
Actually, in C++, there is a scanf. So you can when you are using enter, that time it will stop over there for the string. But getS function, it can take the space also. I mean,
Sorry,
suppose if I write 1 space 2 space 3, then it will work for that. No.
Okay.
That's my question actually.
1 space 2 space 3. Okay,
Karthik,
yeah.
can I explain this?
Yeah.
Yeah. Arnab, right?
No, my name
Arnab?
is Ashim Bishwa.
Ashim.
Yeah.
Okay, Ashim. I think you are talking about C language, right?
No. Actually, I'm not talking about the C language. I just gave the example. But what I'm trying to understand, input is only taking the enter or
Okay.
any other character to stop that reading.
Yeah, okay, I got you.
That's my
So
point.
how the input function works, so it will look for the end of file character. So you can understand it as a new line. So when you enter something and press enter, then it will understand that that input has been provided, and it will take that as an argument. So it will not take space as a separator. It will take a new line as a separator. So once you finish, once you enter, you press enter, your input is submitted to the function. Okay.
Yeah.
So then it will call for a next statement that may be input or something else. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, there is nothing else other than enter. Okay, so there is no other spaces. See, one obvious reason why spaces won't work is that will be taken as another string, right? So this is A space B space C. That would be A B C D E F G H I, right? So that is how it will process it. Nothing but apart from enter.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay,
so and coming to the previous question, where someone asked that is void is same as none. So can I add some comments on that?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. So void and none are quite similar, but not same. We can say void is a kind of return type in C, what I remember from my C classes. But none and null. These are a standard way of representing a missing value or a value that does not exist. So you will find many programming languages using this terminology. Python uses none to represent when a value does not exist or there is nothing to be represented or returned. So we use none. In a SQL, it is used as a null and null. So it is quite similar. It just focuses on if the value exists or not. So you can relate to it. It's a bit similar, but not the same thing. Okay.
Yeah, that I got it. Actually, my point was that here there is no return function, but when you are writing the void in C++ as a return
Mhm.
type, that you can
So
use the return statement
so
without
I'm
any
just
value.
going
That
to,
that
Can
is
we
a
focus
different
on the
story.
question, sir?
folks, I'm just going to stop.
Okay.
Can we focus on the question, sir?
Yeah, so I'm just going to
Yes.
stop this here. This is see, this will be extremely frustrating to those who don't know C++, right? I mean,
Yeah. I do understand. I do
yeah.
understand.
So live, uh, all these questions should be directed to the forum, right? So forum, you can those who want to ignore C++ Python comparisons can ignore that, but here the others are like forced to listen to that. So that is not in the interest of the general audience. Okay. So I think we should.
So actually, someone pointed out. That's why I.
Yeah, so no, we can bring it up. Again, I will say two reasons. One is I am I or I'll just talk for myself. I am no expert in C or C++. Neither am I an expert in Python. But I think I am reasonably good at Python to help you out in answering some of these questions. Okay, so if you are going to direct C++ questions during live sessions, it's going to be tough for
I'm
us.
sorry. Actually, that is not the
Yeah.
subject. So yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All right, so let's move on to finding the square root of this
Can
number.
we explain this code, sir? Print input, input, input.
Oh, yeah. You have a question regarding this?
Yes, sir. Can you explain it for one more time?
Yeah, so see
How
what
do you
happened.
input the second part by after entering ABC for the first input? You have to
Okay.
press enter to input for the second part. Then press enter and input for the third part. Is it how you do it in your keyboard?
Yeah. So you want to know why the output came this way or
No,
how?
no. The three
Yes,
inputs
sir.
are coming one below the other. So after typing for the first input, you have to press enter. Then type the second input. Then press enter, and third. After that, the third input will come the third line, and then the output will come the fourth line. Is that how?
Yeah, exactly. That's how it is. So unless I press enter, you won't see the anything happening on the second line.
Okay.
Okay, so maybe I'll run it again.
Sir, why the final code appears in that fashion?
We'll also explain. I'll also explain that. So A, B, C, D. Now I pressed enter. Now D, E, F. I'm pressing spaces, and now I'm pressing enter. That is what makes me move to the third line. So the reason I'm getting the output like this is because I get three different strings. So the first enter would have given me A, B, C. The second enter, or enter is not the right word. First input would have left me with A, B, C. Second input with D, E, F, and third input with what is that? G, H, I. Okay, so these are these three strings. So I am essentially adding or rather concatenating these three. Okay, so this is the translation of that particular thing. If you run it again, okay, I'm sorry, this will not work. Just run it again. A space B space C, enter. D space E space F, enter. G space H space I, enter. Okay, so this is exactly what is happening here.
Sir, why it is printing like A space B, then without space CD, then only
Yeah,
character E?
that's because of this, right? I mean, here it's just going to join the string ABC with the string DEF without any spaces. So if you want a space, what you should do is you should explicitly add one. So you have to explicitly add the space here, and so here as well. I mean, I'm going to just comment this out because it's just or just delete that rather.
So keep the fifth statement as it is, sir. Then only can we note the difference.
Okay, so you get the point now?
Yes, sir. Yes.
All right. So,
Sir, can I ask something?
yeah, please.
Sir, how does execution works? Like, matlab, first input it goes to the console and then waits, and then second input and then goes to console and then wait for the input, and then third input. I mean, in the print brackets.
Yeah. So here again, it will be from left to right. So, for example, if you run this again, say it's so 1 will match with this. 2 will match with this, and 3 will match with this. Okay, so whichever the input you see leftmost, that will match with the first entry here, and so on. Is that what you meant?
I mean, what I meant was, so when this code gets executed, so first it takes all three inputs and then goes to console, or like it goes sequentially, like first input and then goes to console.
Sequentially. So or when this line of code is executed, you go input by input. So that is how you enter it, and that is how you are expected to do in the console.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Okay, so you meant sequentially, then maybe if I even give 1 space, 2 space, 3, it will work, or is this something like that your question?
I meant sequentially only.
Yeah, okay, so it's not simultaneous but sequential.
Oh. Thank you.
Is there any timeout for this input statement?
Okay, that's a nice question. I also don't know. I think it is quite patient. If I'm not wrong, Python has infinite patience, but we'll have to check that. I'll get back to you, right? That's a very good question. I also don't know if it times out or not. I have never personally tried it.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Yeah.
Sir, you have explicitly given spaces between input statements, but in the output it doesn't work, sir.
Output.
There was no spaces came between 1, 2, and 3.
It came, right? See here, there's 1 space.
Just give an output 2-digit out. Sorry, give 2-digit input, sir. Then we can find the spaces.
2-digit, you mean like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6?
Okay. Thank you, sir.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
Sir,
yeah.
Sir, what if we want to add 12 plus 34 plus 26?
Okay. Then you would have to convert your inputs to integers. So for that you would have to convert them to integers and remove this offending string fellow, and that should work. Okay, so 12, 34, 56, that will just give you the sum. Is that okay?
Yes, sir. Thanks.
Okay.
If you want to give the sum in the same line as the inputs, now all the three inputs in the same line and the sum in the same line, like how do you modify this?
So you want the
instead of 4 lines
input
in the same one line only. 12 followed by another other input, the third input, then the other one. The final output on the same line, all 4.
So
but Python always gives only one line, or automatically it will just go to the next line, sir. Unlike other things. Like other things, we have to mention \n. In this, it automatically goes only the next line.
Yeah, so yeah, that is the nature of Python. So that can be modified. We'll look at that in week 4. So for example, let's say I'm printing 1, printing 2. So 1 and 2 go on separate lines. There is a way to prevent that behavior, and that's called you can give what is called an end argument. So if you print this, it will print what
No, I don't, sir. If it is against the actual system, the way the Python functions, no need to explain. It's okay, sir. I just if it's so complicated, like as per the Python library, it goes and prints only the next line. Then let us stick to that, sir. It's okay.
Yeah.
Because I may not understand what you're saying.
Right. Yeah. So
Thank
we
you.
will get to this in week 4. Okay. Now we'll go to this number.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, I had a doubt that like Sudarshan sir uses double quotes for writing his strings, whereas Omkar sir uses single quotes. So, what is the difference between the two?
Okay. So there is no essential difference. You can use both. Am I audible? I'm getting my saying that my connection is unstable.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you can use both. See, there's no essential difference, but there's one small difference. I'll just see if it works. So if I print something like this, right? Let's just print this. Let's see. If you actually enter A here, you can see that it's represented in double quotes because you have this apostrophe here. Now, what I'll do is I'll just expand this as right, and if I type A here, it's in single quotes, right? Actually, both represent. I mean, single and double quotes represents the same string, but sometimes when you want to add apostrophe or few other reasons, you may prefer a double quotes. This is explained in detail in week 2. Okay. All right, there is no essential difference between single and double quotes. Both represent the same string. If you're enclosing A in 1, 2, 3 or say B in 1, 2, 3, both mean the same. Okay, I hope that is clear. Okay, finally, I think we should move on to problem 13 because we have spent too much time. Okay, so to get the square root of num, that's how you do it. Okay, any doubts here?
No, sir.
Why do you raised it to the power?
Hello, am I audible?
Hello, sir.
Is it breaking?
No,
Yeah, is
sir.
it breaking now?
No. Yeah.
It's fine, sir. It's fine.
Okay. So
Sir,
yeah.
Actually, I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah, when I'm writing this number and double into symbol and then 0.05, that will be enough, or I have to write the print and everything whenever I am writing?
Sorry, can you come again? Is it enough if you write this or?
Okay, that number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That number, then double asterisk symbol 0.5. That I can write only that when I'm answering these questions, or I have to write the print already.
Or you have to write it as an integer, you're asking, is it?
Oh, no. Just if I write that number 1, 2, 3, 4, and then double asterisk 0.5, I replace the number with this number, num with this number.
Yeah, that should work. So see, we wrote it as a variable so that it gives clarity. So I can as well write this as star 0.5. That will also work. All right. So it will give you the same. This also works.
Sir?
I hope that's what you meant.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes, yeah.
Can we use maths module by importing the maths and using the maths.sqrt? But I don't know how does.
Yeah, so I am hearing a lot of crosstalk. Please, others mute. Yeah, you can use that, but since this solution is given because we have not yet introduced either the import function or the math module, or both, for that matter, right? But you can use.
So instead of 0.5, can we put as 1 by 2? And for cube root, can we put 1 by 3?
Yeah, absolutely. But there's
And also, why the output is coming as a float, like with a decimal point? Why is it not coming as an integer?
Yeah,
Is
so
it
that
for,
is.
yeah.
Yeah, sure. So that is the way the internally the operator has been designed. See, because this is float, right? The outcome of the entire expression will be float. So, for example, if I square this, okay, it will be an integer because both are integers, right? But the moment one of them becomes float, the entire output will become a float value.
If you substitute it by two integers, like 1 by 2.
Okay.
Like as per precedence, maybe it is taken as the second after exponential. Exponential will come first and the division symbol will come next. So
Yeah,
1 by
so
2,
what
can you
will
put
happen
integer?
here is that this is still float, okay? So 1 by 2 will get evaluated as 0.5 anyway. Its exponentiation happens from right to
Okay,
left.
then it's a float.
Right, so this will become 0.5 and it'll end up giving you a float either way.
Okay.
Is that fine?
Yeah, it's
okay. Yeah, so I think that's it about 13. Print the number of digits in 7 power 100. It is not a math question. Okay, so 7 power 100, I think we just saw before with 7 power 35 how it works. Right, so the easiest way would be to convert this to a string. And find the number of digits in the string. Okay, so 7 power 100 has 85 digits, as simple as that. Okay, any doubts in this?
Sir?
Yes.
Actually, if we print num 7 to the power 100, is it printing the integer value or num? It already is a string value, no?
Which one? Num str?
No, sir. Num equals to 7 to the power 100.
Okay.
That it's a print the a string value, no?
No, that will print the integer, right? So that will give you the integer num. But if you can't use length with this integer. So, for example, sorry, this is triplet is hanging too often. Okay, let me reload it. Okay, so if I do this, so I get object of type int has no length, right? I mean, only objects of type string have length. So yeah, is my voice breaking?
No.
No, sir, actually, this is not. I was asking that num is num type should be any string type, no?
He's asking you to show the type of nums. Hello.
Hello.
Am I audible? Hello.
Yes. You are audible.
Hello.
Hello.
What happened? What? Did Karthik sir disconnect?
I think so.
Okay, looks like there's some connectivity issue from Karthik side. So let's wait.
I was about to give 5 minutes break. I think this is the break he was talking about.
But that was given at 8, no?
Let's assume this is the break. Hey, I'm very sorry. So, am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So, for whatever reasons, Zoom like said it just threw me off. So, okay, yeah, we are running out of time. So, any other questions here, or I'll move on to next one.
Sir, regarding these
Okay, moving
errors, regarding these errors, to make the meaning out of these errors, some common errors, like if you can list some 10 errors, and so that we can go back and rectify and get that, compile it without errors. Some common errors, if you can list and make us understand the meaning out of it, because they look very difficult to understand. Object of type, object, we need to understand what does it mean. If you can list and give us later, it will be good.
Yeah, sure.
Some common errors, basic in the basic level, not in the highest.
Okay, yeah. So we'll get to that. For now, we have seen value zero division error and this value error and all these things, right? So we'll get to some more comprehensive way of listing the errors. Okay. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. See, ever since this stopped working, I'm kind of unsure why, if I'm still online or. Okay, so problem, where were we? Problem 15. Accept a word as input and assume that they're all in lowercase. Print proof the first and last letters of the word are same and false otherwise. Okay, so how do we do this? You accept a word as input. Let me first clear this. Okay, so we'll again go in good. So now first and last letters, if they are same, we need to print true. If not, false, right? So the way I would do this is, the first letter is word of 0 and the last letter is word of -1. Okay, so let's try some test cases. Okay, so the first and last letter are same, so I get true. Let's try something else. So the first and last letter are not the same, so I get false. So that's as simple as that. And as
Try
Avinash
the
was
number,
pointing
sir.
out in the chat, you could also number you want. Okay, 1 2 3 1 2 3 3 1. Right. So any palindrome, as for that matter, will work. So what are the famous? This need not work because it's a palindrome, but for palindromes, it's obviously going to work. Right, so that is about it. It's a very straightforward question. Yes, someone wants to type Nitin. I will oblige. Okay, so that is it.
Negative test case works?
A negative test case? Yeah, so 1 2 3. In fact, even single characters will work, right? Article A will work. The empty string will also work because
it is accuracy true, sir.
Yeah. Okay, any doubts on this question? If not, I'll move.
No, sir. No doubts.
Okay, so this is again a string based question. You want to accept a positive integer x, and without using the star symbol, you need to print 10 times that number. Okay, so how would I do that? I will accept the number as input. Okay, I won't bother converting this into an integer. So what I'll just do is multiplying an integer by 10 is as simple as adding 0 to it at the end. Okay, so if I type 1 2 3,
Can you repeat this logic, sir?
this question?
Yes, sir, this question.
Yeah, so there are two ways of doing it. One is the, okay, I would say the proper way. Proper way is to accept an integer as, see, there's no point accepting the integer as input. It's best to retain it as a string. Okay, so for example, if I enter 1 2 3, I'm going to get 1 2 3, right?
Yes, sir.
Now multiplying this by 10, actually what I should do is, any sensible person would do star 10. Okay, but for some weird reason the problem doesn't want you to use the star symbol. So what I do is I just concatenate or add a 0 at the end.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so no matter what number I type in, it just appends 1 0 to the end, and that has the same effect as multiplying by 10.
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is, I agree totally. This is absolute cheating. We should not do this, but this is meant to demonstrate strings. Okay, so accept the length and breadth of a rectangle as input and compute its area. This should also be simple, so we'll use good names. Length and breadth need not be integers, so let's stick with float. Right? Okay, so print the area of the rectangle is length times. Okay, so if I type 10.5 and 10, I'll get, okay, so I made a mistake, namely name of the variable is wrong. Let's run it again. It's 10.5 and 10, you get 105, right?
Sir, I have a doubt here.
Yes.
Sir, today I tried coding this same type of questions, same
Oh.
line, same type pattern.
Okay.
But suppose in the third line, sir, we took one variable as v equals to length into breadth.
Oh, you want here, huh?
Yes,
area
sir.
equal to
Area equals to length into breadth, and the in the fifth line we'll write instead of length into breadth only area.
Okay, yeah, that is also very clear. Yeah, that is also fine.
So that gave the trace back for me.
Sorry, that gave?
That gave an error to me, but I'll see to it, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so now the next question is actually a follow-up to this. So this is also a correct answer to this question. So the question is length into breadth area, right? So this will also give me the same, okay, sorry. I need to cast them into float values. Say 12 into 3, this will give me the area of the rectangle. Of course, this is bad code because it's not readable. You don't understand what's happening. This is smart. This seems very smart thing to do. You have done the whole thing in a single line. But if someone were to read your code, they will start cursing you, right? And depending on the person's temperament, we don't know what he may do. So whatever I wrote before, that is much more readable. In fact, I missed out this area part, and I don't know who pointed it out to me. This is much better than what I wrote because the third variable area gives much more clarity to your code. Okay, so that is the correct answer. So there are multiple ways to code, but the final goal is that your code should be readable and should make sense to whoever is reading it. Okay. So this Problem 18, can someone tell me what it's doing based on the previous problem?
Area of cube or cuboid.
Yeah,
Sir, it is just
It's
cubing.
calculating volume.
Exactly, it's getting the volume of a cube. Not a cube, cuboid. Yes, someone pointed out. So cryptic code, but still. Okay, so I think
It could be cuboid also, no sir, because it is just input. It could be 3, 4, 5 that I mentioned.
yeah, you're right. It's actually cuboid is more accurate than cube. So it is cube only if all three are equal. So yeah. So this problem we already discussed it. Why is it giving an error? It will give you a value error. So you're trying to convert a string containing a float value into an integer. So that's going to give you an error. So we are going to move on.
Sir?
Yes.
If we pass the argument simply as 1.23 without using any double quote, then it would simply just return 1, right?
Yeah, exactly. So there you have no problem. So depending on the type of argument, the behavior will change. So if it's float, it will just truncate the decimal part and it will just give you the integer part. All right. Yeah. So f of x is the greatest integer less than or equal to x. Okay. So now does anyone have an answer to this? How did you approach it? It's related to the previous question in a way. Okay, typecasting.
So x equal to float of input, then print.
Okay, x equal to float of input. Okay.
Then print str of int of x into 2.
Wow. Okay.
That's it.
Okay, let's try this. I think this is I think you are giving the answer for the next question, is it? Or
20th question.
okay. See, I want the greatest integer less than or equal to x, right? So for example, if it is 1.2, I want 1 as the output.
So we can
use int of float.
So in this case, if I
int of x. Integer x would work, sir. You needn't put the string there.
Work, sir.
Yeah,
Integer x would work.
All right. Yeah. So that is the answer. So if you enter an integer, it will give you the integer itself.
So, but it says they want 2 times 4, 4, 2, 2. So that's why I put it as a string and then into.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
So first convert this whole thing into a string and then multiply by 2 so that it replicates twice.
All right.
If it is just one, same text would be.
Right. Yeah. So that's the answer. So 21 actually, okay, 21, you want the smallest integer greater than or equal to x. So there is a mistake in the question. So do you think you can do this? Has anyone tried to solve this? Did you get the answer?
Sure.
Yes, just add 1, I think.
Just plus 1.
Yep.
Okay.
Just add 1 to the x, sir.
Like this?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, you think this is right?
So if it is a integer value in the input, then it would prove to be wrong here.
Exactly. So were you able to solve that anyway without using conditional statements?
No, I wasn't. That was a doubt which I had, how to solve this.
Okay, yeah. So the question is wrong. So it was only later that I realized that you can't do this without using conditional. So, or you change this, you remove this equal to part, right? So if g of x were to be just the smallest integer greater than x, then it might have worked, but that doesn't make a lot of sense. So let's ignore 21. Question has to be reworded. It makes more sense in week 2 and not in week 1. So Srinivasan is suggesting that we add 1 and then convert to int. But that also won't work, right? If you pass an integer itself. Right, so yeah, 21 is a bit tricky. So let's ignore that.
So
yeah.
So you can, I mean, x is equal to float of input, and then in the next line print integer of x plus 1.
Yeah, but what if your see? What if your input is 1? It's an integer, right? So that's the problem. You have to return 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the question asks for a specific type of output. What we are doing is we are displaying the integer that is in higher or lower than this. But in the question, I didn't understand why they asked for it to repeat twice. For example, if you go to the previous question, 20th question. So I think it was a printing mistake. You have the correct question paper, I think. In the course page, it was repeated twice. So they've asked for 4, 4.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
there was a printing mistake in both questions. So that's why I was confused on how to address this. But
All
okay.
right, all right.
This is what you asked, right?
Yeah. So this is the greatest GIF, and so we call this the floor and ceiling. So these are, you might have seen this in Max 2. If someone is doing Max 2, you would have come across floor and ceiling functions. So that is what I intended to ask, but yeah.
We have direct functions for floor and seal in Python also.
Yeah, but you have to go through the math library, if I'm not wrong. So
Okay.
we'll come to that in next week, okay?
Okay, sir.
So problem 22, accept the score as an integer.
Sir, sir.
Yes, yes.
Excuse me, sir. Yes, actually, I have done the floor and ceiling problem without the importing the maths function.
Okay, can you give the solution to ceiling function?
Oh yes, sir. So actually, I have first taken an input x.
Okay.
It is basically a float input. Float parenthesis input. Then then next line in the I have taken another input y.
Okay.
No, not input. It is not an input. I have y equals to integer int parenthesis minus.
Okay.
No, not x. Just minus.
Okay, minus.
Minus. Then again parenthesis.
Okay, open. Okay.
Minus x.
Okay, minus x.
Then floor.
Sorry.
That floor function, that double division
Okay, floor
operator.
Division.
1.
1.
Then 1. Yeah. This, if we print, we can find the ceiling.
Okay, let me run it. Okay, this works for.
We have to print, sir.
Sorry. Yeah. So print y, is it?
Yes.
Okay, just give me a second. 1.2. Why am I not getting 1.2? Okay, nice. Wow. Okay, so you have solved this. Okay, can you explain the solution?
Hello?
Yeah, are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please explain your solution. It's very nice, actually.
Sir, actually, I have just, I am also a beginner. I follow Stack Overflow. So I was going through what are certain solutions. So I saw this there only.
Okay, this is nice, but I don't understand why we need why do we need this x? What happens if this doesn't make
Here,
sense?
I think it divides by 1. If it is a float value, also it will return an integer value, and minus of minus will make it positive. I don't understand why minus is needed, but I am able to understand the double slash.
Okay, can you explain why we need the double slash?
Because let's say you take 2 as the value.
Okay.
So what you do is 2 divided by 1 is anyway going to return 2. Let's say you give 2.1. 2.1 by 1 will again return an integer, closest integer. So that will give you 2, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Can you try removing that minus there, and then maybe we get to the same solution? Yeah, the minus you can remove and we'll check.
Okay, which minus do you want me to remove?
Both of them.
Okay. Okay, this doesn't give me the what am I supposed to get? I'm supposed to get 2, right?
2.
No, you're supposed to get 1, and the next one should be.
No. See, this is not floor, right? Floor we anyway do int of x.
If you put minus, are you getting 2, sir?
So if I put
Both minus.
minus of the whole thing. That I won't
Minus
get.
of minus. Minus of minus x.
Yeah, that is the first solution. So that's the original
Is
solution.
it giving us 2?
Yeah, so 1 is giving us 1, 1.2 is giving us 2. Yeah, it works.
So
What's the concept behind this, sir?
Okay, so like all, give me more time. This is a good solution. I can't think on the spot, so I need some time.
One thing we can think.
Sir, I think I can explain that double.
Minus 2.5.
Hello?
Double minus 1 will give
Am
minus
I audible?
Yeah, so
Sir, the floor division, what does it do? It actually rounds it off to the nearest whole number. So if
Right.
it is 3.6, you will get minus 3.6, right? So it goes to minus 4.
Not nearest, right? It rounds it off to the.
It should come to -3, na?
No, because flooring of minus 3.6 is minus 4, which is right.
Probably because
negative
negative sign.
Negative line, number line.
Negative sign, that's why is
It's
included.
negative sign, that's why it should be -3.
So can I explain, sir? So I've
Okay.
just got an insight.
That
One
makes
second.
sense.
Can I
sir?
actually minus 3.2 floor is minus 4.
-4, -3.
Minus
Yes, sir.
3.2
And
floor is
again that -4, that minus before the parenthesis, it cancels both the minus and it returns the greater number.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why it's returning the 4.
Can you remove the first minus and see if it returns?
It
what
will
it
return the
It will
negative
return
number.
The first minus and the second minus cancels each other. Actually,
No,
like
that was
when we
understood. What I'm saying is, if we remove the first minus, I
It
want
will
to see what the
return-
floor division will return, because floor division generally returns the lowest number, right? So minus 3.6 by 1, does it give me 3 or minus 3 or minus 4? That was the question.
Minus 4 is lower than minus 3.2.
So it will
right?
return. Okay, got
So
it.
the thing
So
is, I
then
think
it's right.
floor division returns to the lower number. So the 4 is
Got it.
minus 4 is less than
Yeah, exactly.
So it takes the
3.2.
number line.
Yeah.
and,
Yes.
the minus previous to this cancels the minus. And
Exactly. So it's a wonderful solution. So just to summarize, floor division returns the actual floor of that number, and this minus
Minus
criteria,
cancels that out.
yeah, is used to get the. Okay, nice. This is a very good solution. Okay, so we have how many? Three more questions. So I'll just go through them. Student between 90 and 100. Okay, so the way to do this is, if you want to do it the proper way, let's take the input. Okay, and your 90 less than or equal to marks less than or equal to 100. So that should do it. Okay, let's enter something in the range. Something else on the border.
So what about if the marks are in float value?
In float value, that will throw a value error, right? So for example, if you add 93.5, you are trying to convert that string containing 93.5 into an integer, which won't work.
Okay, so the comparison works only for integers.
No.
So can't we just change that integer to float, that taking of data type?
Yeah. So that works. See, the reason I'm using int is because I have specified explicitly that the score is an integer. So there's no harm in converting this to float. In which case it will work. Any float value will work. So that's right. The problem was not with line number 2. So when you use int, the problem is with line number 1.
Sir?
Okay, yeah, got it.
In the line number 1, it should convert to 93, na? Because I haven't put it into single bracket.
No. So see, this is what we saw earlier, right? This int works differently on different types. So if you if you have a string, it works differently. If you have a float, it works differently. So for example, if you have a string, it throws an error, but if you have a float, it truncates the
Yes, sir.
decimal
So
part.
it should return only 93, right?
Yeah,
Because
only
we
if
are-
the input is a float, it will return the integer part. Otherwise, it will throw an error if it is a
So can
float
you
enclosed in the
rewrite the code again?
rewrite which code?
The previous
Original code, sir.
previous one.
Original code.
Okay. Previous
I know
one
that's
was
not code, but still.
this one.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I know it's not code.
Sorry, I didn't get you.
Nothing, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
No,
One is
sir,
saying
no, sir. He's saying you if you input 93.1, it will truncate that int
Yes.
of input. If you give an input of 93.1, automatically since you have given int of input, it will truncate to 93. Why it is throwing an error?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Is the question.
Okay, okay. I think you got it now, right? I mean, it won't work because input by default returns a string value. So if you notice the error says that it's unable to convert this to into an integer because this is a string. The string contains a float value and not an int value.
But you have not put it in the like what is it, quotes. You didn't put, only if it is within quotes, it's called a string.
Sir, if you put
Now
marks
just
equal
you
to
have
int
just
of
given a number.
93.5, will it work directly? Int of 93.5.
That will work, right? So see.
Sir, can we not put int inside the input?
Can we not put int inside the input? So I don't know if you have been there from the beginning. See, input marks. Okay, let's just input. Let's not do anything else. Let's just print marks and the type of marks. No input conversion to no integer conversion and all that. Okay. Why is it not running? Okay, it's expecting input. So I need to refresh. I'm sorry. Okay, so it's input 93.5. Okay, so what you get is 93.5 and a string as the type of the input. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
So no matter what you input, the type of the return type of input is always a string.
Yes.
Okay, now if I try to convert this to an integer, it will work only if I input an integer. If I don't input an integer, it will throw an error because in line number 2, I am trying to convert the string value.
Yeah, I got it. But what I'm trying to ask is, can we not put the int and then brackets inside the input?
No. So this won't work. So this is not syntactically valid.
Okay.
So this won't work. Okay, so I hope it is clear.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Sir, can we, in the subsequent line, can we change, say for example, in the second line, after we input a value, can we write another code marks equal to integer and within the brackets marks?
Okay, that's what I've written here, right?
Oh, I'm really sorry,
Right, yeah. Okay, we are going to see what this is. User enters two integers. It prints true on both the lines. So how many different pairs are possible? Okay, so any answers you have for this?
It's 8.
Okay, and can you list down the pairs? A, comma B?
2, 1, 3, 2, 4,3 and so on up to 10, up to 9, sorry. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so this will be consecutive, all pairs of consecutive integers between 0 and 10, starting from 1. So you'll have 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, so on till 8, 9. Okay, so 8 pairs. I'm not going to spend more time on this. Accept a 2-digit number as input and print the sum of its digits. Okay, there are like 2 ways to do this. One is int of input of, and then you say first digit is equal to the quotient when you divide the number by 10, last digit being the remainder when you divide the number by 10, and then you're going to do first digit plus last digit. So that, for example, if you have 25, it will return 7, 98 will return 17, and so on, right? So this is one way, the elegant way. The other way is to convert, to retain this as a string and just say digit sum, dsum equal to int of the first digit plus int of the last digit.
So we can directly print this.
Yeah, you could directly print this. I'm just just for readability. Okay, this is not a very good method, I mean, but you can still use, just demonstrate the use of strings. Okay, I'm going to go to the last question.
The second part is how to handle 3 digits. So
Yeah, so 3 digits, let's go to the, okay, here we'll have to do so there are like the most significant digit is the leftmost digit, so I'll just say digit 1 is the leftmost, that is num by 100. The digit in the middle is going to be num by 10, and the final fellow is going to be
num by 10 will give you a 2-digit number.
Good point. So how do I fix that? Will how do you get the?
We can take the modulus after that, like put a bracket.
First
And
modulus and then by 10.
Yeah.
Nice, very nice. Okay, so this will give. Okay, will this work?
No, sir, third digit again, modulus.
Okay, let's try. 1, 2,
Yeah.
3. All right, so that is the answer. Thanks for pointing out. Okay, last question. We'll quickly come back. So it's a perfect square or not? Okay, how do we do that? So you accept again number. This time we'll stick to integers. Okay, the square root of the number is num star star 0.5. So if you square this number and if it happens to be equal to the input, okay, then it's a perfect square. Okay, so some positive test cases, some negative test cases. So incidentally, someone pointed this on the forum. This will also work if your input is float. So for example, if you have 0.16 sorry 0.16 or oops, have I made a mistake?
17 it showed true, I don't know.
Actually, it's printing the square num as float value. If we can convert it, then it can.
Sorry, can someone tell me I made a mistake somewhere? What mistake have I made? I just print the number and the square root. I'm kind of lost now. Okay, 0.
So you have to do if integer of square root of number into integer of square root of number is equal to.
Okay.
Because sometimes square root will give you a decimal point.
Oops, yeah. So this is the float overflow. So that is the problem. Okay.
SQ name converted SQ name to
Yeah. So this yeah. So this is not going to work because.
So you can multiply it by 100 or something like that. Maybe.
Yeah. But that will still. So if I multiply 0.4 into 0.4 by 100.
So you can directly do print int of a star star 0.5 into int of a star star 0.5 equal to a.
But that will become 0, right? Int of 0.5 will become 0.
We
Right?
can
No, please convert the SQ
we can do if
name into int.
for the float value after the square root for the value, if we find the last digit is 0, then it will print true.
Yeah. So that is one option. So that you're saying using strings, is it?
Yes, sir. We can convert to string, and if the last digit, like string of -1 equal to 0, it is a perfect square.
True. Yeah, that is another solution. But see, this is a very nice point that's happening here. Can you observe this?
Yes, sir.
So okay, so I'll take up something even more simple. So can someone tell me what the output of this statement is going to be? True or false?
False.
Why?
So it's
because
float.
if we see the real number line, its value can be 0.000001 at some point.
Okay, so it's not mathematical. This is
So
more
leaking of the float, right?
Yeah. So this has more to do with how 0.1 is represented internally by the system. So when you convert this to the binary representation, it's going to you can't represent it exactly because it's a recurring kind of decimal. Okay, so this is the reason why 0.4 into 0.4 is not equal to 0.16 as well, right? So the reason you get false for this is again the same reason. Okay, so let's just stick to.
This is the last question, right? Sorry, I didn't get this point. So if you just print 0.4 into 0.4, it will give you 0.16, right?
Not exactly. So if we just try to do that, right? So see, 0.4 into 0.4 is represented internally by Python as this thing, which is not 0.16.
Any reason behind this?
Yeah, so for example, 3 into 0.1 is not 0.3 exactly. This is because of the way 0.1 is represented uh, in the system, right? So 0.1 is when it is converted to binary, what will happen is it will have a recurring decimal expansion after. In binary, it will have a recurring decimal expansion. Okay, so when you try to terminate it, since you can only have a finite number of bits to represent any type of data, you will have to truncate that representation at some stage. So that causes this kind of an approximation.
I have one question. If I write 0.016 into 1, then what?
0.016
into 1.
Okay.
Here, print in print.
Okay.
Now it is 0.01. Actually, it is multiplying, right? 0.4 into 0.4, right? That time it is storing 0.160000, then last 3. So if I multiply 0.016 into 1, then it will be same or not?
See, the all that I can say now is that float is very problematic when it comes to comparisons. Okay,
So does this mean we will have precision issues if we use Python for decimal multiplications, because this might also lead to errors, right?
Yes, exactly. So we have to be very careful when we are using float for comparisons, not for other reason, not for other things, but
Let's say I'm calculating percentages for some report.
yeah.
So
So
that time it will impact.
But question is that both sides is saving 0.16, right? But it is
That's what. So
represented
it
to.
is a error, isn't it? It's not precise, right? So will it not lead to issues in?
But why?
My question is.
I got your point, but why?
Yeah, I just explained, right? So see, this requires binary arithmetic. 0.1, see, everything is represented in binary, right? Ultimately.
Yeah, but right hand side also representing as a binary, right? So
No.
that time it can say 0.16, but when it is multiplying, that time it cannot say.
No, you are multiplying the binary expansion of 0.4 with the binary of 0.4, whereas
Yes.
this is 0.16 directly.
So I'm asking this question because Python is widely used in data science, we are saying. So in application, let's say we are to calculate percentages or some calculation which involves two decimals. So how do you handle this precision issue? Sometimes it might lead to bigger.
Yeah, sometimes it will lead to problems. So what happens is you always have a tolerance. So when you're
Okay.
comparing floats, you'll have a tolerance. For example, you won't just say, is it double equal to 0.6? You will maybe say, if x is a float value, you will ask, is x less than, so
Okay.
some say x target plus tall.
Okay,
So
so you
does
will always
x
have
lie
some buffer.
between, yeah. So does x lie between x target plus or minus tall?
Okay.
So this is something that you will do.
But there's a limitation in Python as such.
I won't say it's just in Python. In all programming languages, if you, I don't know about C, C++, but I believe it might be this float overflow might be an issue there as well.
So it's in many programming languages.
Right.
I mean,
Just
it's
because
in
I don't
JavaScript as well.
haven't seen. Probably in other languages. Okay, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think we have like overshooted. We are
So
half an hour.
just to add, for the first method, maybe we can use a round function to avoid the problem we are facing for the float square that you did. Like if num equal to the square root, square is equal to the number itself, we can use the round function to avoid the error that we are facing.
Okay, but won't round convert it to an integer? So for example, 0.16, right? So if I print this, won't I get 0?
When we can, does it take argument of how many numbers you can round it up to? Like, I guess it has.
If it has a tolerance argument, then yes, yeah, you are right.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so yeah.
Just a
But,
suggestion, we
yeah.
actually, I mean, the challenging questions were the one where there were actually mistakes, as in the ones where decimal point square root has to be found out, and the seal problem. Although, I mean, it was not intended to be asked that way, those were the challenging questions, and it would be great if we can have more such challenging questions and activities so that, we can break our head and
So
at least the
sorry, can
basics will
you
be strong.
come again? Can we have?
Questions like the seal function and the square root of float value. So these are questions that are challenging, although it was not intended to be asked that way. Those were the questions which actually, made us think quite a lot. So can we
I
have
got it.
more of such questions so that it's
Yeah.
challenging for us as well? I know, I mean, basics have to be strong, but can we have at least 2 to 3 questions like these and these?
Yeah, sure. That's the idea. See, that's the idea. So the activity questions, right? This time it's a departure from the activity questions of CTE course. So it is not lecture based in the sense that it will not be watch this lecture then solve these questions. It will be more of a comprehensive coverage of the concepts covered in that particular week. So we'll try. So the activity questions from now on, it will be more of the main place where you'll be practicing
Yes, sir.
your coding
Please.
skills,
Yeah,
right?
we actually enjoyed those kind of questions. So
Sure. So the next week we'll be releasing it either today. I think it's already released, or tomorrow. It'll have 35 questions. So I hope you all enjoy solving
yes, sir.
them.
We actually enjoyed the challenging questions. Also,
Yes,
just
sir.
wanted to ask on quiz, how will the questions be? Is it going to be multiple choice like the graded assignment, or will we be asked to code in the quizzes?
See, that
Just
is
to be
a
prepared.
thing. Yeah, that's something even we haven't decided whether we'll have
Okay.
coding questions or not.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so I think we are out of time. Thanks everyone for joining. We will meet again. I think we have 2 more sessions planned this weekend. Omkar will be joining you in one of them, and another core support member, Krishnan, will be joining. Right. So Thank you for your time, and we will be closing.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.